Hello folks, it's Duncan at Free as an Eagle. Just thought I'd say hi. It's been a little while. Lots of progress, of course, as always. Trying to keep moving along with this project, but thought I'd say hi, just give you a quick update on what I've been doing lately. It's been a good week. I had my son-in-law, my brother, son-in-law's sons helping out, and a lot of help. My other son that does the staining and painting was up, so between the bunch of us, we've gotten a bit done. One thing I don't think I mentioned last time, I decided to put a little floating stairs on the front of the porch entry area instead of my temporary ones. So I decided to try to design something that would allow me to build off the porch framing and not have to pour a slab or do anything, since it's only two short little steps. So I was able to do some interesting framing down off of the outermost floor joist of the porch and drop some pieces of wood down that I was able to tie into to run, instead of traditional stringers with the triangles cut out of them. These are just 2x6s that reach out, or rather 2x8s, they reach out a little further and allow me to place the treads on top of those, and then I use some metal strapping to reinforce it a bit so there's enough strength there, so there isn't very much bounce or flexibility in those. They're pretty strong. So we'll see how well those hold up, but that was just a little fun idea. And then the main thing that we did over the last couple of days, my son-in-law took a extra day off. He gets Wednesdays off now. He works some 410s, has Wednesdays off, and then he had a lot of personal time coming, so he decided to take 2-day Thursday off and jump in. And his sons came up for a little while to help out too. So what we were able to do over the last couple of days is finally get some railings and stairs on the back deck. And this deck's kind of small. When we originally were going to build it to rent, I wasn't going to get too carried away with the deck, but of course the wife always thought, well, it'd be nice if it went out a little further, which it indeed would. So we actually built this in such a way that we could expand it. There's an 8x18 foot deck, and on footings that go into the ground, big concrete, Bigfoot type footings, which are very reliable and sturdy. So I had those actually buried, put in here at the time the foundation was done, so we were able to build off of these. And what we did is bolted, see the outer, I'm on front of the deck now looking back, and we bolted these posts onto the existing deck, shimming them out beyond the floor so we wouldn't have to tear up the floor. If we decide to expand this deck, we now can unbolt the post and railing system along the front and take it off, and then we could actually build another 8x18 foot deck sticking out, and we would have to punch down to the ground here and set more concrete posts, which can be done. So that's an option that we built into what we did. So anyway, I'm not completely done with this, and if I wait to completely finish anything to do a video, then I'll be waiting too long in between things. So I thought I'd give you a quick update. So we temporarily installed these stairs on some posts that are actually pounded into the ground below these stairs to temporarily hold them in place so we can use them. Eventually there's going to be a hole dug under there and a concrete pad poured on top of a few inches of loose gravel, which will drain over the hill so that there won't be much frost action. And some people wonder, like, frost action is a strange thing, but the only reason frost action happens is because water expands when it freezes. One of the very few things that does. And when it does, water will expand and push things up and break things, and it's not good to have that happen, but it requires the water. So one of the tricks to avoiding frost-related issues is good drainage, and this roof sheds a lot of water, and we've got this graded in such a way that most of the water has been draining out over the hill. And what we're going to do with these stairs is have crushed stone under them, and then actually trench an area that drops right down the hill. I had one of the kids that was up helping do a little stone wall here, but we're going to actually have to move part of that, and then we're going to put a bunch of stone that will allow the water to drain out from under the stairs and down the hill, and we're going to reroute where this water comes off the roof and give it a path where it drains further over this way so that it won't be near the stairs where it drains. So that will help this not get moved around by the frost. So the trick I use here, this is kind of traditional stairs. And the rise and run is one of those issues that a stair building guy's got to figure out. And I've always found, there's an old guy told me there used to be a law of 17s. If you add the rise and the run of stairs together and you end up with about 17, it's a comfortable stride, no matter whether you do it, 10 and a half out, 10 out and 7 up, which is typical, or you can have more shallow stairs, but you want to have a longer, or rather a shorter step up if you have a longer run, just so the stride isn't uncomfortable. You've probably walked on stairs before, especially stone steps going up to public buildings where the run on them is very long and the rise isn't very high, but they're uncomfortable and you're tempted to skip steps because they require either a very long stride or a very short stride. They're not comfortable. So the trick I use is I bumped it up to 18 because people are bigger now than they were when those rules were established, and I find 18 is a comfortable stride. So these ones that I build are usually 10 and a half, which allows you to use 2 pieces of decking, which are 5 and a half each. So you end up with 11 inches plus a space, so you end up with a nice little 3/4 inch overhang when you're doing stairs. So I tend to like to use the 7 and a half, 10 and a half. And in some cases, you're locked in. Like if you're building stairs from a first floor to a basement, you have to do some math to calculate how much the rise is going to be and how many runs you're going to have to make the stairs work. This was a case where we're cutting into a slope, and I actually had the option of just deciding, well, we're going to do 7 and a half, 10 and a half, and where it lands, we'll work with it. We'll just take a shovel and we'll make the ground compensate, which we're doing. So they're comfortable stairs, they sit level, comfortable, and we're just going to have a slab pretty much at ground level that will work for these. So that allowed a little bit of making it easier by just planning the 7 and a half, 10 and a half, and just cutting the stringers that way. And I won't get into the technical aspects because they're already built, but you take a framing square and make marks on it where you're dropping 7 and over the 10 and a half, or you're dropping the 7 and a half and over 10 and a half, and that allows you to mark out the triangles you're going to remove. And then when you do that, then you end up with stair stringers, and then you attach those to the house in such a way they're the right distance down, so that with the treads on them, the stairs are all the same height. And one thing I like to do, I decided to do here, is round off any squared surfaces like the posts. I took a router and I just rounded them over a little bit, so all the wood has the same kind of a round that you get when they do pressure treated decking. I don't like the square edges. I like to soften it a little bit by rounding things off. As you can see, I don't have the top rails on. I've got to get more deck wood. Originally, we were just going to build the set of stairs on this end and maybe do another one later, but we decided we're in the mode of doing this and cutting everything, we might as well just build both sets. So we built this in such a way there's this little staircase on either end. This end is sort of the utility end where you got the wellhead, eventually a shed here, and this is sort of where the driveway comes in. So the benefit being you can park in here when it's not full of debris, and then walk right up these stairs to get in the back if you're carrying things or you want to just be on the deck. So that's that. And then the spindles, I like to use, these are all pressure treated spindles, pressure treated wood for exterior use. And I have a little system where I make a spacer that's the width of a 2x4, so the spindles wind up 3.5 inches apart, and then you create a pattern one, and then you can just mill through making the spindles. And of course there's a compound angle on the stair ones. You've got the angle down the staircase, and you've got a 45, a little bevel at the bottom just to make them look a little prettier. So that's a system I like to use. And then these rails that are missing are actually going to be milled narrower than the deck boards so that you can grab them comfortably. They'll overhang, say, a little bit, maybe a 1/4 inch on either side, so it's still something narrow enough to comfortably grab. Then the top rail is full deck wood because something nice to set your beer on or whatever you happen to be drinking, and that's comfortable. And then on the ends here, this is the other end, and we've dug a hole, we've tested. We actually put the stringers together and temporarily secured them so we could calculate where these are going to land. We ended up subtracting one step from this set because they landed on ground that was a little bit higher than the other end. So we're going to put gravel in that hole about 4 inches deep for drainage, and then pour a little pad on top of that into a form we'll make out of some pressure treated wood, and then those stairs will have something nice to sit on. And of course these Stairs are also going to have little gates at the top. So we have dogs. We don't want them being able to just take off. So there'll be little dog gates on either end. So the critters will have a little place to come out and hang out. And kids and critters will need to open the gate to get out or be let in or out. So that's how that's going to work. And eventually those post tops will have they sell nice little caps that you can make or buy, or you can make them. You can do various kinds of mitering on the tops to make them little pyramids, but I kind of like to buy the little caps with a nice little cedar caps. You can get ones with built-in solar lights, although I don't really want to create a lot of stray light here. I want to be able to see the sky at night because you get a nice view, and the stars are kind of pretty. I'm into stargazing and all that sort of thing. So anyway, this is a catch-up on what's been going on. We were able to put all the posts on this and lag them in with big long lags, like 8-inch little lags you can actually drive with a little hammer drill, kind of a screw gun. They drive anything. They're amazingly strong. So we set all these posts. They're solid as a rock. And then we're able to build the staircase on the one end and kind of start on the one on the other end. So that's the progress of this week mostly. I've done a few other random things inside, and I won't bother to bore you with that because it's not something noticeable. A lot of invisible type of work, staining and polying and making up trim wood and calculating and thinking and figuring out where the kitchen things are going to go. So that'll all take shape in the future, but it's been a good week. Tomorrow will be a little lighter. I'm a little bit tired right now, but glad to see progress happening and have some help. Still shooting for August to try to get in here, so got to keep on keeping on. Anyway, have a good weekend. Tomorrow's Friday. Hopefully be some nice weather. It's going to get hot next week, so another reason to get out and get the work done in the cooler weather. When it gets hot, it's harder to get focused on the work, and when it gets in the 80s, you start thinking about the beach and the lake and all kinds of good stuff like that. So we will work hard while it's cooler. Anyway, have a good weekend and take care.